Yes, sir. What's up, guys?
Yes.
This DJ will kick the floor in three, two, one.
Hello and welcome to Mzansi. We're back again. It is that time of Senzo Meyiwa's case. What is happening and what is cooking? And don't forget to press that like button and subscribe, guys, as much as you can. I know for sure that we're gonna need you to subscribe if you can. For those who are new here, this is how we roll. And we expect you to comment on the comment section.
The chat should be
We
open.
hope that today ESCOM is going to forgive us. But in the meantime, I'm not even sure whether I should start disturbing it by recording. But just for quality purposes,
For backup.
I would record. But recording, what it does, it consumes my space. Which
Okay, or don't record.
in return. But let's go, Emil. What happened today?
Hi guys, welcome back to the Mzansi Reality YouTube channel. A lot happened today. I'm just hoping that we get to cover it as fast as we possibly can.
Yes.
But a lot happened. So Advocate Zandile Mshololo was not in court today. By the way, this is coverage of the Senzo Meyiwa trial. We are live and this is Mzansi Reality. So Advocate Zandile Mshololo was not in court today. Advocate B. Monyeki was standing in for her.
Okay.
He was rather quiet, throughout the entire court proceedings. There was not much objections coming from him. So Mthokozisi Thwala was in the witness box. His testimony continued today. Thwala said after they had dropped him at home, he opened a case against the police. It was then referred to IPID. He opened the case in Begi Temba in BB section in Umlazi.
All right.
The IPID came to his workplace and he gave a statement. Other than opening a case against the police, there's nothing else that he did. Also, the fact that Buthelezi knew about this and never apologized to him, that's the only thing he could do was open a case. He said his lawyer at the time was different than that lawyer that the previous lawyer that he had, because the previous lawyer handed his case over to Mr. Rogers. And Mr. Rogers was trying to contact those people at IPID. Okay, they had nothing tangible. So every time they would try and call, they would be referred to this one and then to the other one, and then they'd have to contact them. And not be found afterwards. So it was like a process of, how call centers are like sometimes, where you call somebody and then you continuously have to start the process over and over with a different person because they don't know what you're talking about. So he felt like that was what was happening at the time.
Okay.
So he didn't understand how IPID works. It was 4 years later at the time, and there was nothing that was said.
Yeah.
No one was arrested, or there was no way forward. He didn't know what the way forward was. So Advocate Baloyi asked, was there any specimen taken from him? And Thwala said no.
Okay.
So Mthokozisi Thwala was then taken through a document which he says he has no idea what the document was about. And then the judge asked if there was any objection. Advocate Mnisi raised his objection. Now, Advocate Mnisi, for guys who may not quite recall, I think he's representing accused number 3.
All right.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, accused number 3. Advocate Ramosipele is accused 1 and 2, and Advocate Nkumalo is for accused number 4, and obviously Advocate Mshololo is for accused number 5.
Okay.
So Advocate Mnisi raised an objection about the huge file, Exhibit P, with statements that they do not know for which basis are they now handed over to the court. They contained some ID parade forms, etc., etc. And yesterday there was an objection from Advocate Mshololo, as they were not even supposed to see what is happening in Exhibit 6. If there is a document that is in Exhibit 6 that has to do with the witness and what the witness was led to that specific document, let it be that document that is handed over to the court, pleaded Advocate Mnisi. And then the judge said he had not yet seen the document today. It had been handed over to him and he will take what he is saying and would like for Advocate Baloyi to respond. So Advocate Baloyi said that they would prefer that all the documents be in Exhibit P. Because the bundle, guys, it had a lot of files. It had a lot of documents that were not in relation to what Mthokozisi was testifying. So they wanted to not see some of the documents. In fact, they were not needed for them and they didn't understand why they were there. So they didn't want to hand over the documents in a piecemeal fashion. That's what Advocate Baloyi said, with a document here and another document there.
A very creative man, indeed, that man.
Advocate Baloyi kills me. And the judge said that in handing that, he had handed over documents that he was not supposed to see or have sight of. Now, one thing about Baloyi, he will fight Shem.
Yeah.
He will fight. I saw it today. Baloyi said they didn't want to hand loose documents. It doesn't hand over well for the proper collection of the documents that must be presented as exhibits. And then the judge asked Mnisi if it was okay if he got the document he needed to see. So if it was okay that he, Judge Shipiwa Maumela, takes the document from that file that he's supposed to see and then hand over the rest of the document. Will that be okay? He asked. And then Advocate Mnisi said that it is a precarious procedure. Nangamatem lawa. To hand over documents to the court when the stage of handing those documents has not even come. So what would be where such documents would not be handed over to the court? So what he was suggesting was that those documents should be handed in as and when their time arrives.
It was a smart move. It was a smart move because you look at how these people are doing things now. You could have found Mr. Afro saying that I've already seen them and sticking to that defense of I've already seen them.
Remember what was happening last year?
And during that course of that debate back and forth, he did now and then through sub punches wherever he could, as he was telling. I don't know, it's Advocate Mnisi. You told me to speak louder, so you should also speak loud.
Yes.
The guy is
and he said he can't hear properly.
And you are saying that Advocate Baloyi is ready to fight. He fights. No, it's not. I feel like he's motivated by the ground. If the ground is fertile for you, you are going to do anything that you can. If you need to plow, if you need to plant, if you need to build, you'll build in that ground because the ground is for you. So, which is totally different from what we have seen with others, right?
Yes.
So, others, the ground is not fertile. It's a rock that you're going to need to really fight your way up or fight your way into trying to even plant on it. So, I understand why you are saying that Advocate Baloyi will fight. Mr. Vaseline, it's allowing for him.
It's allowing.
Yes.
This environment is fertile.
Exactly.
Now, the judge asked Baloyi to single out P6 because for him to single it out, it means that he would be exposed to other documents. Baloyi said in this case, there are lots of documents, and if you don't keep them together, he will run the risk of losing some of the documents. Well, my question is, isn't that his job to keep the whole file?
It is his job. He's the one
I understand why everyone has to carry a huge bunches of files with stuff that they don't need. Like, isn't that his job to take the entire file and keep it to himself.
It is.
Well, and he said, and pulled out whatever document that's necessary when it's needed. I mean, I didn't understand that. Well, he said he was baffled by the objection that Advocate Mnisi raised. So Advocate Mnisi objected that his witness for now has not testified about any other documents in that bundle. Now, his witness is referring to Thwala and Togo. So Advocate Mnisi put up a fight, and this is just my opinion. And I want to ask you, Mr. Anonymous, do you think that the state was trying to create confusion somehow and just bombard the defense with too much information that had nothing to do with how the deceased even, got to his demise? Because now Mthogo has somehow made this case about himself and what happened to him. It's like the diversion has happened. He's testifying about what happened to him more than he's actually testifying about what happened to the deceased.
I think that any smart person who has practiced in this law place, that person would be able to see that at some point Mthogo left many loopholes. So what he was trying to do was to sort of clean those loopholes, because there are contradictions, a lot of contradictions that from his testimony. So he was trying to sort of clean. You know what I mean. Let us put it in a simpler terms. Simpler terms would say that you have eaten sugar, and as a kid, and you have sugar in your face.
Yes.
Like basically, yeah. So what you are trying to do is to clean that, because I mean, if I was to defend you with that sugar in your face, it would be very difficult. So clean that sugar first, and even though they saw it, but after cleaning it, then it's better. It's a different story. That's my thinking. So that was the process that made Baloyi fight this much for me with the judge, because the judge was on his side for me. Like from the word go, when this thing started, the tone of Mr. Afro, you could tell that this is gonna go one way. He's going to overrule the objection, and he did that.
And he did exactly that.
I don't care how long it took, but he did that.
At some point, I was wondering, is this case about Mthogo or is it about Senzo?
No, it's about Senzo, but he was trying to clean up the cell phone issue. Do you heard the questions that came out after that? It was just a clean up question type of a thing. So continue, maybe it will get clear as we go on.
So Baloyi referred Thwala to Exhibit P6, heading DNA reference sample collection kit done at Vosloorus in 2014. So Thwala said his surname was written wrong there. There was no H in his own surname. It's TW, I think. Everything else he confirmed. He asked if he knew what the paper was about, and Thwala said he had no idea what it was about. So Baloyi asked the witness if there was ever a stage when the blood samples were taken from him, to which he responded, no. About the Netflix Senzo Meyiwa documentary, Thwala says he knows about it because he was contacted by a gentleman by the name of Mzilikazi. He said he doesn't know who he is, but he was working on behalf of 1010 Films. He wanted to meet up with him. They were chatting via WhatsApp, but he was refusing.
Yeah.
Then the judge asked if Mzilikazi was attached to Netflix or 1010. And Thwala said to be safe, he would say 1010.
Okay.
Thwala said that he was then approached by Pilile, whom he said was pregnant at the time, who arrived at his home about 2 or 3 years back. She told him she was aware that he had previously been contacted by Mzilikazi and that he had come to explain what this documentary was all about. Thwala said she was explaining because she knew that he had refused to be a part of the documentary, and he even explained his reasons for turning the documentary down of Senzo. From then, she said it would be painful because there were people who agreed and there were also others who were close to Senzo that had agreed. And when they asked those people everything they said would put his name in the mix of their stories because he was very close to Senzo. This is Pilile now trying to convince Mthogo to do this. From there, he told her that he will think about it. This is Mthogo. And after a few days, he sent a message on WhatsApp that his decision to not be part of the documentary still stood.
Okay.
After a couple of months, a lady of no color arrived by the name of Sarah Bedge something. He couldn't remember her surname. He's not sure of the surname, but she said she was the head of 1010 Films. She met his entire family and she wanted to explain the reason they wanted Mthogo to be a part of that documentary, and they wanted him to explain his side of the relationship with Senzo, and that it should happen that he goes to court and he becomes a witness.
Should it happen?
Yeah. At the time, I could this is Sarana begging, you know. Begging, he's like, you know. And then they stayed a long time still trying to convince him. But their reason was not valid enough for him to do a documentary on Senzo, so he declined. He still refused.
Okay.
So he's also like a Tumelo, in my opinion. This is my opinion now because I just feel like, okay, here's an opportunity to tell your side of the story with regards to what happened to your friend, right? And you are turning it down. You don't want to entertain it. Don't want to give it a try.
There is a catch. You see, what I think he was trying to do here was to show that, unlike Tumelo, I'm not after money.
They could have done it for free.
Like he did with the pictures.
Like he did with the pictures, like he claimed. Like for the nation, I'm speaking on behalf of our court of public opinion. It would have been nice to have him in the documentary. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, that is true. I'm not disputing that. But why was he hammering on that? Clearly, he was trying to show that it had nothing to do with money.
With money.
Yes.
Well, he then continued and said after they were there for the third time, before they came for the fourth time, he asked his lawyer to tell them not to try convince him anymore. So he actually got a lawyer involved to say, I don't want to do the documentary. But he gave them about 6 pictures. They offered to pay him for those pictures, but he refused payment from them. He said that he could see that this documentary was a money-making scheme. Interesting. How are you able to tell that? Now, this is a money-making scheme. It hadn't even shot yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, he said, but I have never sat in front of any camera to do any interview. What he heard is that they took his recordings that he had done with an author, Soweto Madlanzi. He says he was called around 2017 by Senzo's father about a book that was going to be written. He then agreed because he was asked by Senzo's father. He did the interview at Senzo's home with the author, but also requested that before the book is published, it be shown to him so that he could confirm it. Now, I remember snippets from the documentary of the recordings that Soweto Madlanzi actually gave to the film, to the documentary, where he was talking. I think he was with Mandisa on those recordings, and they were talking about what was happening, especially that incident with the car and stuff, and the chasing of the cars, where Mandisa was behind Kelly's car at some point. So those recordings, Soweto Madlanzi apparently is the one who gave them to 1010 Films. So he said that he could not confirm what had been. He said that he could confirm it, reflected exactly what he had said. So he wanted to make sure that in the book that was going to be published what he said was exactly as how he had stated it, right? So he said that Soweto Madlanzi gave him the book in December 27th, 28th, few months before the book was published, because the book was published in February. So it took him about 2 or 3 days to read the book, and he picked up a few mistakes and asked the author to rectify the mistakes. The mistakes were not about what he had said, but the dates about when certain things happened.
Okay.
Now, he said Soweto Madlanzi, promised to fix those mistakes, but still published the book with those mistakes. He said he also has evidence on WhatsApp, what he was talking about to him. It didn't sit well with him, and it went as far as him opening a case against him.
Right.
On the troll.
Wait, I'm just pausing you here, Emily, just to remind people, please press that like button. And it's I know it's a tedious exercise to remind you guys and disturb your process, and to avoid these reminders. Please press that like button and continue communicating on the live chat as you guys are doing. But don't forget to press that what we call that
The like button.
like button.
Please press the like button.
Yeah. So let's continue there.
Yeah. And they took Thwala back to the scene of the incident. A photo that State Advocate George Baloyi and the judge, they asked Thwala to clarify issues regarding the seating arrangements on the 2 couches in Khumalo's mother's house at the sitting room again. The room Tumelo Madlala had run into he was also questioned about that, where Mthogo had to open for him with a spoon.
Yeah.
The amount of alcohol he had consumed on the day, and he said he drank some of the alcohol. He drank Hunter's Gold, which was about 2 cans. He said, I drank 2 cans, but the third one was open, but he only drank 2 cans. And he said that he was okay, he was sober. He said he was not drinking when he accompanied Tumelo to go smoke outside. He remembers that the kitchen door was not locked and there was a gate outside. Baloyi asked for a short adjournment. So far, what do you think of those developments?
There is nothing much to say about them. I think what they are trying to do is to replay the scene again, trying to emphasize on it, so that maybe if you are weak-minded, you probably would try to dwell on that. It to me sounds like they are saying
Repetition.
Let us have you think about these things. They are programming those who are sitting down waiting to cross-examine us, the person. So if you take it, there was nothing into it. I mean, the telling of that story again. First time, yes. Second time, there was nothing into it.
Perhaps.
It's just a bit of chow of time and make people tired in their minds and make them start later to cross-examine. And the right person for cross-examining started for me. A person is like, you know that you still have a good day tomorrow and maybe the following day. But you just take this person into comfort zone and you keep on asking questions in different ways. Be all over as much as you can, because there was no time in any case. There was no time to restructure and say one thing or even question in that line of making someone crack. You know, it was already late. Even if you did that, by the time you put them in the corner, it would be a time to adjourn the court. So the way he was asking, I was happy with it.
Okay. And what do you think about this? It feels like Mthogo likes playing victim a lot, in my opinion. By the way, everything in this video is alleged for this case.
Yeah. Look,
With the book situation, with how everything turned out in the dates and the
there he was
miscodings
trying
and
to
the-
debunk the book, was trying to say that the information. Remember, when he was explained, there are things that are explained there where he's talking about when Longwe Thwala came in, it was like an angel of death
Angel of
had
Death.
entered.
Guys, in the book.
Those are things that you have to look at. So, in telling the story of the fight between the writer and him, making himself a victim and the person who has already taken this thing with law, which you might be surprised to find something else in the story. But all I'm saying is that he was recorded, right?
Yes.
He accepted that.
Yes.
Can we edit that? No.
No.
Because you were recorded. Not unless you dispute that it was now you all over the recording that is there. So this is where Umzilikazi maybe I think got more information, even though you were refusing to work with him, as you explained and how and all that. But he already had information.
So court resumed with Thwala,
Yes.
and he was asked to clarify some of the issues in his evidence in chief, as state was seemingly wrapping up leading the evidence regarding Kelly unplugging his phone. So Thwala said he doesn't recall where Kelly's phone was when he unplugged his, or when
Yeah.
she unplugged his. So all he remembers is that she unplugged his phone and plugged hers in. So regarding the scuffle, so what here I got is that he doesn't remember what happened to his own phone after Kelly unplugged it and put hers in.
Yes, you remember yesterday when he said he took his phone, and he did, right?
Yes.
And then
Today
the kid,
he doesn't.
and then all of a sudden,
He doesn't
it was now
remember.
to. Those are things that now were being clarified and being ironed out to say, you cannot say two things in a sense. You know,
Consistency.
that's where the problem was.
So regarding the scaffold, he pointed where he says it happened. So Thwala said he could not give further description of the hat. It was upside down on the photo. So that the first alleged intruder had on. This is the hat now. The hat that Tumelo would not forget.
Tumelo was hammering on it. This
Tumelo was focused on that
This one
hat.
is kind of relaxed in a sense that he's not saying that's a head.
He's saying
It looks
he's not
like
sure.
it. But there's one thing that we must notice about this person. He is very specific when he's talking about things, dates and everything.
Yes.
There is very specific,
Yes.
but he's got a good timing when he has to forget something.
Today he was forgetting. Right?
Because he was giving dates, he was doing everything that was necessary. But when it's time for him to remember important stuff, he starts forgetting now and then. Let's continue.
So all he could say was that the hat was dark. So the state said that they are done with leading Thwala's evidence in chief, and they would like to now clarify certain inaccuracies in the statements he had given at different times. Thwala had admitted to have given more than 2 statements since the Senzo Meyiwa incident. So Ramos Sipele stood up to object.
Yeah.
He said that the state cannot cross-examine its own witnesses. They can only lead evidence. And the judge asked, did he say that they want to cross-examine? This is Judge Shipewa. He asked, did they say that they wanted to cross-examine?
Yes.
And Ramos Sipele said, Baloi said that he was going to highlight certain inconsistencies, thereby he is cross-examining. So Advocate Nkumalo also objected, saying that it's unheard of, or it's for the first time that he's hearing whereby the state sees that there are contradictions in the statements of witnesses, and then the state tries to cure that defense. He thought that those issues should be left for the defense unless if the state is trying to limit their cross-examination. The judge asked Baloyi if it could not be attended under re-examination. Will it be changing evidence already on the record? And Baloyi said no, and it's only to attend inaccuracies. He said he is surprised that his learned friends do not know about it. Section 190 allows for the process of common law duty for the state. He even read from his file, okay? And then he mentioned something about impeachment of a witness, says he was reading, the screenshots I managed to get on the web explaining this section 190, but we'll get to it later. Now he was giving us a law lecture on that Criminal Procedure Act all of a sudden. And I'm like, what is happening now?
I have to say, please continue. Continue. But I just wanted to say, it is very disturbing that he was allowed to go through this thing for me. Because I tried to look at this, but mine is 185, which is about cross re-examining the person.
So you couldn't find 190?
I couldn't find 190 per se.
It needs a book.
I think so.
Ngoba we were taken back to school, some of us. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, so is there anything that you wanted to read?
No, I wanted to read the screenshot that I found on the internet. Credit to, is it King Kakana? He actually put up the screenshots. Explaining
if you read section 185, which is section 185 1D of the CPA, it provides that after the cross-examination of the witness, the prosecutor may apply to the court to re-examine the witness on any matter arising out of the cross-examination. The court may allow the re-examination if it is satisfied that it is necessary or desirable in an interest of justice. Once the court grants a permission for re-examination, the prosecutor may ask the witness further questions to clarify, or expand in their testimony. This can be particularly useful if the defense has raised issues during cross-examination that require further explanation, or if the prosecutor wishes to rebut any evidence that has been presented by the defense. It is important to note that re-examination is limited to matters arising out of the cross-examination and must not introduce new evidence or go beyond the scope of the witness on original testimony. The accusation will have an opportunity to give evidence and call witness after re-examination, during which they can challenge the prosecution case and present their defense. Overall, the prosecutor's right to re-examine a witness under section 185 1D of the Criminal Procedure Act is intended to ensure a fair trial and to provide mechanism for clarification any issues that may have risen during cross-examination. So this guy was saying, I am cross-examining, not actually cross-examining. What did he?
He did say cross-examine.
Yeah, which without any cause. Which I can in a given day, based on this, obviously this is not 190, 91 or 190. I can accept the objection, because why do you feel the need? I mean, you could have clarified during the cross-examination. It's like you are reviewing everything that you have done and then you are doing it again. But this is here from what you have.
Because what section is that is it
This is
180?
185.
185.
1D.
You know, Ramos Sipel and the defense actually needed that to debunk this whole thing that we were put through. Because that is exactly what they needed. It's just that they couldn't quote it.
It just doesn't make sense why it was granted, but it was granted.
They actually needed what you just read
I
right
guess
now
he
to
was
cancel.
using a different section though,
Perhaps.
which is 19 something.
Because he's the first one who brought it up. It's 190, and this screenshot was taken in the court from that book or from a copy of that book. It says impeachment or support of credibility of witness.
Yeah.
Number 1, any part may in criminal proceedings impeach or support the credibility of any witness called against or on behalf of such party in any manner in which and by any evidence by which the credibility of such witness might on the 30th day of May 1961 have been impeached or supported by such party.
Okay.
Number 2, any such party who has called a witness who has given evidence in any such proceedings, whether that witness is or is not, in the opinion of the court, adverse to the party calling him, may, after such party or the court has asked the witness whether he did or did not previously make a statement with which his evidence in the said proceedings is inconsistent, and after sufficient particulars of the alleged previous statement to designate the occasion when it was made have been given to the witness, prove that he previously made a statement with which such evidence is inconsistent.
Okay.
Now, when I was reading this, it sounded like they were talking about a witness who's already cross-examined, in my opinion.
It does sound like that.
But then I don't know law. I haven't studied law.
No, this is not about law now. This is about what you're interpreting. You are reading that. I mean, you already know that section, right? So,
I mean, an impeachment or a support of a witness would be applying to somebody who's already been cross-examined by the defense. So you can only find out whether an impeachment happened where you can support or impeach after the witnesses has been cross-examined. So I was very confused.
In my thinking is that, Emily, you would be able to, if you are able to pick these things up, you would be able to pick these things up and you should be correcting them right there. Why should you wait for asking another time to say, hey, actually, I want to iron out something? When did you realize that that thing was wrong?
Yeah, we were put through a lot today.
When you were listening to the recording, is that when you realized, why don't you save these things for re-examination?
Yes, that was the question I had all the time. And I'm
It still does not answer this thing. And I still do not understand how Mr. Afro arrived into the conclusion. This is where the law becomes like colorless for me. Because one person just decided after reading that thing, to me, it sounded like he was imposing his idea.
Yeah.
In saying that the ground is level now, it seems as if now everything is narrowed. We are coming into the conclusion that we are agreeing with Mr. Waloi. Without these people saying that, that's why they stood up and said, in the interest of saving time, in a nutshell, we will let this go.
Move.
He was difficult, and now you understand that if you are difficult facing someone who's also stubborn, more so when they know that they are right, then that's where the fight starts.
The fight begins.
So basically now you must put your head down against this person who's interpreting what you are reading, what you have, however they want to interpret it. It doesn't make them the holy God. They are still like you. It doesn't make them the good commanders of English to understand it better, not because they didn't write it. they probably hold the same position as you. They just have experience. Now, based on that experience, therefore, they know more than you, as it is assumed. But this is not something like
the question,
they have advanced knowledge of this thing.
Yeah.
It's just that they have been applying it all the time.
Yeah.
And it does not necessarily mean that they were applying it correctly. And if it was accepted, it does not mean that the person who accepted it during their time of practice accepted it because it was correct.
Exactly. And on top of that, once you bring up impeachment, you are complicating the process. You need to impeach or support what has already been cross-examined fully.
Yes.
I mean, let's give an example of an impeachment, right? When somebody's impeached, what happens, right? They are called back after they have testified and were cross-examined by the defense, and they think like something that might actually happen to Tumelo in this case.
That is true.
So they would need to use this 190 in the case of Tumelo.
It is fine. It
not
is fine.
on someone who's not yet
You know what is funny?
Mm-hmm.
They are seemingly reluctant to bring back Tumelo. In the very same grounds that this man submitted in saying that, can you at least substantiate, give us a reason why we should allow you to do that. It was not given. It was canvassed in a sense, according to Mr. Afro. I don't know how, because I was listening, waiting for this man to canvass. They just had this conversation and that's it. It was not to say I'm submitting that because of 1, 2, 3. But it was accepted as something that has been canvassed.
Hi. Lawyers, correct us here. You are needed. The judge wanted a copy of his Criminal Procedure Act and court adjourned. They had to take an adjournment so that he goes and looks for the book. The judge was expected to rule on whether the state should be allowed to address the inconsistencies they have picked up in their own witness statements, or whether that should be left to the defense to cross-examine. And then Baloyi came back with the book and read it. And at this point, I was like, yo, what Kesana?
They just accepted it. And in a nutshell, we wasted good 20 minutes
time.
or so.
It wasn't that, it felt like an hour.
For something that for me was sort of predetermined. This is according to me. From the tone and everything, it sounded to me it was accepted already. There was no need for you to go further. Well and good to show your knowledge, as they call it. They did whatever they did, but what they came back with, it was an answer that they could have gotten earlier.
You think? So it was said that he needed to identify those areas and say where they said this, and so this is where the part where Advocate Mnisi got in and was trying to also interject and support.
Let us make it a move, because I want to allow people that are calling. Yeah,
I think you should. I don't know. You should open the lines now.
Yeah, you done reading the whole thing.
Well, it's been cut short now.
Now
So
continue.
It has been cut short. So
Continue.
yeah, so also it gave me deja vu of how even Tumelo's testimony was conducted. You know, Baloyi re-examined him, cross-examined him, and freely objected when the defense was cross-examining. I remember the procedure also feeling rather unusual to a typical court case. I mean, I've been watching court cases and I haven't seen anything like what happens in Judge Maumela's court. Like, I haven't seen it. It's really new to me and I'm struggling to get used to it.
I guess this is what happens in high courts.
Maybe there things are different.
I mean, it's a different ball game. You see what I don't like about the way in the manner in which South African law is, where there's no judiciary. One person.
What do you mean judiciary?
I mean jury. Sorry.
Okay.
One person determines that I'm right. I'm the alpha. And that's it. It becomes that. So these people really, from where we are standing, I mean, everyone from the public opinion, we feel that time is being wasted on wrong people. And yet all these nitty-gritties, they will continue doing all that they're doing, and probably they might find no answers.
I mean, for him to even pull up the books, it felt like an English lesson. And for me, it gave me deja vu about how some people, especially people in our community who have wealth and money, would rather have people of no color representing them instead of, in the court like that, especially these high courts and stuff. I mean, was it even necessary for him to bring all of that book and make it feel like he was teaching them English?
It's criminal law. I mean, English might be necessary, but not that much. This is not business law. This is not labor law.
It's not.
We're talking about criminal procedure. All we want to know is that, is this person guilty or not guilty? We don't need a lecture that would take an hour.
Well, they even took a break. There was a long adjournment that they had to take 20 minutes prior to the actual lunch just to accommodate that whole thing. So it was really bad, guys.
Well, I might be opening lines.
Yeah, please open the lines.
I might be opening lines, but that is if you have subscribed and you have liked the video. I mean, guys, we have 52 likes.
Come on, you can do better than that.
It's either I open these lines so that we hear from other people. We don't like to hear our voices,
especially when we're live. So yeah, I need a break.
So the whole cross-examination, nothing much that you probably missed.
Yeah.
This is the issue of someone trying to make them comfortable.
It was a very long argument.
But I want to say this, Emily, before we open the lines. I want to say this. You know how I would have questioned this man?
How?
I would play with his feelings.
Who?
He's sounding more defensive now.
Yeah, hey, today was giving me
because cross-examination is approaching, and they did indeed it has arrived. So what I would do is I would ask him about the relationship with Mandis. I would ask him to explain it again, and he would say, yeah, probably. He would say, this is according to me, probably they are friends. They've been friends for long. And I would ask about the relationship between Mandisa and Kelly. And do you know, as a friend of Mandisa, do you know of any fight that has happened between the two of them previously? And probably you would say either yes or no, because we know at some point it did happen, right?
Yeah.
It was even Kelly said that.
Yeah.
And then I would ask him about the submissions that he made in saying that in the hospital they hugged it out, they comforted each other. Does that sound like people who are friends now? Do you think they were friends? Do you think they were... Basically, I would make those people who were in the house, particularly Kelly, this very good thing.
Like make her sound like a good person.
He is a good person. He is a good person. I don't know whether he's a good person.
No, make her paint her as a saint.
Paint her as a saint. Yeah, that's the right way. Paint her as a saint. No, why? Because he didn't want to. This man is telling us that he didn't want to go there. So that means he didn't kind of like Kelly, or what is happening with Senzo and Kelly.
Maybe.
So, and I would go back to the question of Utumelo.
Okay.
When Tumelo said Mthogo was busy with the phone, I would ask him, do you think, were you busy with the phone? He would say probably no, because he has said that the phone was off, right?
Yeah.
Not unless he had a second phone.
Yeah.
And then I would say, do you think, then are you saying that Tumelo lied on you?
That would be interesting.
And if he lied on you, why do you think he lied on you? Why do you think he lied on you? Being busy on the phone and moving out, in and out, answering a phone. So since you are a friend of Mandisa, do you think that Mandisa was not happy about Senzo dating Kelly
And
Kuma.
the relationship.
And then you would say probably yes or no, I don't know. And if he says yes, I would say, okay. Would you do favors for Mandis? Like, are you willing to help your friend out if he's in trouble?
Okay.
Then you say probably yes or no. And
You
if
say
he does
yes.
say yes, then I say, then would you say then, isn't it a coincidence that you were busy with the phone and the intruders came, as you call them intruders? In fact, what if they were not intruders? Would you accept that theory that someone sent them? Indeed, would you accept the theory that there is a mastermind?
Interesting.
I would probe this man, push him, because you need to push him to the direction of Mandisa. Make Mandisa maybe look like a villain. And then he would defend Mandisa. Then once you start doing that, he would break.
I am wondering if he is aware.
Let us hear this call.
Okay.
Mzansi Reality, hello. Sikhona? Yes.
Mina bengizongitshela nje ukuthi yabona le qala leli what people don't know is that it's a very spiritual, it was won spiritually long ago, and there are a lot of things abantu abangazibheki ngoba isintu sesasikhohlwa. Ifamily yakaSenzo ningakhohlwa ukuthi azange bayolanda umoya wakaSenzo kuleya musi. Impahla zakaSenzo oka that he passed away on zisese laphayana kumuntu owakaKhumalo. So that fight uSenzo usesayidini lakaKhumalo, that fight lecala leli angeke liphele in a way where abantu bakaKhumalo would not want it to go. Lizo locally bizama up and down because spiritually lacedwa kudala.
So would you say that is a spiritual advice? Is that a spiritual advice, or you are just looking at it at the direction of maybe?
Ngitho masingabelaphi ezinye izinto siyazibona thina ukuthi icala liyakwazi ukuthi licedwe spiritually, then it comes to this physical world, which is where we are on. But lelacala leli lachithwa kudala spiritually, so kuzolokho kubhizi kunje until nomphakathi give up.
Okay. So you think that this is probably according to the caller. At least there's no name and there's no number. That's a good thing. So according to you, you think that this case was won through spirit and there are no finances or whatsoever that were involved except for spiritual intervention?
Hey, mani ngathi ngiyabheka ukuthi khona lo sisi yena loqulayo lo oqulayo waziwayo ukuthi a few months after uSenzo ashona, was she not the one ubekajula neinyanga ezinkulu eKZN?
I think I had one, right?
Yebo. And was she not the one same night uSenzo washona khona inyanga ezakhuluma ezasefoslo? Some of the nyangas were arrested.
Okay.
Ukuthi akumele kukhuzi bakhuluma ukuthi abanye bakhuluma ukuthi yebo abokheli bafika the same night bafuna uklenzwa. How can you if you are check ilento from the hospital, there's khona these 3-4 hours where abokheli nabozandi they disappeared, bahamba baya somewhere where no one knew, babuya ekseni.
Well,
yes, khona inyanga ezafonelwa ukuthi sicela usisize sisenkingeni. So the inkinga yakaSenzo yacedwa spiritually. And another thing is that Meyiwa, they didn't like uKelly, so the way they treated her, bathathi imoto bangamvumeli ukuthi aze emncwabeni, she's operating from a spirit of bitterness. whereas ispirit sakasenzo sihleli phezu kwakhe akekho umuntu ozomenza lutho Kelly at this point.
Well, that's your opinion, and this is not the channel's opinion. This is your opinion. In case someone wants to, this is not Mzansi's reality, not our views. Also, this is the caller's view. And do you have anything to add? I'm even afraid to add things here. Do you have anything to add?
Abantu bazoba shocked the way icala lizophela ngakhona. Thina singabe lapha endabuko siyayibona icala ukuthi lihamba kanjani. Sakwazi nathi nendlela zethu zokucheck, kodwa all I can say is apelapha endabuko siyalazi icala lizophela kanjani. Kodwa it's not our place. Kumele sivumele umthetho ukuthi uyenze into ekumele yenze, unless iclient lizathina lizofuna iadvice. Kodwa thina sesibonile ukuthi icala aliyeke liphele ngendlela. The way you'll find ukuthi abakakhumalo whatever bayenzile yebo maningi amaphutha abawayenzile, but umoya wakasenzo uyabalwela.
Okay, let us give you one chance of predicting this case, how it ends.
Cha, angeke ngikwazi ukudalula kakhulu lapho, kodwa what I can say is umoya womuntu masekashonile wathwetshulwa as isintu sethu. So umoya wakasenzo uhleli kwakhumalo awukazi walandwa. So naye usenzo akakwazi ukuthi avelele kwaMeyiwa avele ababonise indlela, because uhleli kulela ndawo liyana. And the worst of it all is that indodakazi yakhe, remember ukuthi uKelly noSenzo, they have a child together. So that's where his heart is currently. Even when he died, he was with the side chick that he preferred to be with. So umoya wakasenzo washona usendaweni ye-side chick asifuna kuyona, enganini bekasifuna kuyona. So nokuthwebulwa kwakhe, it was easy. That's why he's protecting them in everything.
Asibambela. Let us hold it here. Everything said here, it's an allegation. It's not part of us. It's a caller's view. It's not Mzansi, it's not us. Allegedly to everything. And thank you very much.
Thank you for your opinion and your view.
Yeah, let's take the next person. The next person, I'm hoping, is a law person who's gonna what do you think, I mean?
What do I think about?
About what I just said now.
Oh.
It's a lot. Guys, the lines are open. If you want to call, please call now. Yeah, basically, what I was saying, Emily, is that I would push Mthogo to the corner such that he finds himself having to defend Umandis.
Yeah. Well, the objection was overruled. So after that overruling, Baloyi went back to clarifying issues from the evidence in chief, focusing on what the alleged second intruder wore. The giving of the statement tendered at Vosloorus police station, Thwala said that the second intruder was wearing a jacket or a hoodie. He doesn't remember the color. So Thwala has confirmed the signature on the statements as his, and he said that he cannot remember if the statement was read to him or not.
Yeah.
Baloyi also said, "My lord, we submit the basis has now been laid to then address certain aspects in the statement." And he said that the statement consisted of 5 pages and 17 paragraphs. And Thwala confirmed the signature on the statement as his. And Baloyi now referred to another statement, and he asked, "Did you also make the statement?" And Thwala said yes. The date was at Vosloorus, 2014, 10/28, 12:45. So Thwala said the first statement was made on the 27th, because on the statement he said the 28th. It was on a Monday. Thwala said he thinks so. So Baloyi started reading from that statement by Thwala, and this is what it said. Zandi, and I quote, Zandi's boyfriend let go of the firearm, which was still in the suspect's hand. Then he was asked, "What do you have to say about that?" And then Thwala said Zandi's boyfriend went towards the first person and pushed him, went out.
So you said there was a scuffle, right?
Yes.
That's the part that was being clarified. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden he pushed the person because I'm thinking it does make sense to have to close that loophole. I mean, the person was holding a person who had a gun. Mm-hmm. You let go of that person. What happens? And after that, what do you think would happen on a normal day? Let's say it's a normal day.
You die. You are in heaven.
Okay. So it didn't happen.
No, it didn't. Longer pushed and he ran. Wow.
And then probably passed the second one on the door. What? Fighting with, because it's the first one. So he pushed the first one. Yeah. It's even more complicated when I try to think about it. So he pushed the first one.
I was like, what?
He pushed the first one with a gun, and then he had to go past the second one with a sharp object, and then went out. He pushed that one out of the door, right? That's what was said. Okay?
Zandi's boyfriend, I will repeat, Zandi's boyfriend let go of the firearm, which was still in the suspect's hand.
Mm.
But when that part...
They were very lenient, these people.
That part needs some thorough examination, cross-examination.
No, those people were very lenient.
This part.
And then in the second one, with that sharp object, nothing. You push him out of the door.
It's like he wasn't even there.
And then
pushing
the other group, which is Zandi's mother, then bamgenela manje. They go to the guy who was carrying the very dangerous weapon, and he let them come through to him. He let them. They do reach him, and after ngamakrach bebusiness, they failed to disarm him. And not that this guy just fell. What shy amnesia, everything, No, he didn't fall, maybe. Because there is no in this evidence so far that is saying, no, this guy then fell, and then after that we took the what. So this guy, after this whole mooring that happened, that trapping, so uvuke was tinted what, hey nang shaya, lalelake, awunikeze phone lapho ekheli. Give me that phone. I'm just gonna take yours only, and then ngavaya mash. That's how it happened. Like the guy stood up and he was like, "Yeah, that's it. It's fine. Then let me go."
Well, Baloyi read another part, and I quote: "Kelly drove the car to the hospital, and we were with Tumelo. Zandi, I can't remember who else was the fifth person." So he was asked. End quote. He was asked what was his comments regarding the fifth person. And Thwala said he was asked if he remembers the fifth person. And he said he doesn't remember the fifth person. It means the fifth person was Senzo, because what he remembers is that they were four in the car, because it was Kelly driving Tumelo, Zandi himself. And he mentioned that he didn't know the fifth person. And then that is when the dance, I was like...
So, Ibala, I understand these ones, they ran out, someone ran back to the room, and all the nish and Zagalai. I want to know what the last person was left with, that guy who had a kink lizard in his hand, did, after they trapped him. After they fully trapped him. It will be very interesting. So this guy was like, okay, yeah. So everyone is when niggas phone.
No falling, Yana.
It didn't fall. Mama crashes.
There's no mention of
two
a
of
fall.
Them.
There's no mention of they ran.
Two of them. 3 people against this person.
So Baloyi went through another statement and Thwala confirmed the signature on the statement as his, but he said that he doesn't remember the statement or the handwriting. Reading from the statement, Baloyi said, and I quote, "The suspect didn't say much, just demanded cell phones and money. He was wearing a jacket and a hoodie, covering his head. I could see dreadlocks protruding through the hoodie near his ears." End quote. So Thwala said the first suspect was wearing a hat. Okay, this is him clarifying all of these statements that he took 2014, right? That was like as soon as after the incident happened. And the first suspect was wearing a hat. So Thwala is clarifying now. And that he said he could see his dreadlocks. It was the second suspect that he said was wearing what looked like a jacket or a hoodie. Kwenzakalani? Who was wearing a jacket? Who was wearing a hoodie? Was this person wearing a jacket and a hoodie at the same time?
Why did he go to Vosloorus police station the following day? Was he called? Where he started on the Kelly's house, Kelly's mother house, and then moved to give that statement. Why did he do that? Angeti was here to fetch ID and whatnot. And there was no call mentioned whatsoever that said, other than the call that came from Sten or Senzo's father.
Well, Advocate Baloyi continued reading from the statement, and I quote, "I can't remember the color of the hoodie jacket that the suspect was wearing. I can remember that the second suspect was wearing a hat, but I don't know the color of the hat." So now, what we know is that the first suspect, according to the statement, was wearing a jacket, hoodie, or hoodie jacket. But with the second suspect, he could only remember the hat.
There was a scuffle, as they would say. But was it an intruder? Why did you think that they were joking? Why did you think they were joking?
Well, you'd have to create a basis for that. The defense has to find a way of creating that basis to get him to say that he thought he was joking.
Yeah, you said that, right?
But can they quote stuff from the documentary? I don't think they are allowed to, are they?
No,
They
he did say that yesterday.
He said it yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Why
good.
did you think they were joking? He followed straight to that footstep of
I thought they were
Doom.
joking.
Yeah.
Oh,
Why did you think they were
That's
joking?
good. That's really good.
Did you think they were joking because maybe it's people you have seen before? Why did you think they were joking? Someone comes in with a gun in their hand and you think they are joking, man.
Hey, Zakala. Thwala said that the person that wrote the statement confused the hoodie and the hat. Unfortunately, there was nothing he could do regarding that. So the statement was made on the 14th of December, 2014.
This is someone, by the way, that I've been noticing that. I mean, I would like to ask him, how good do you think your English is? He's been using a bit of English now and then,
Like
a lot
scuffle.
of it.
Like
So I would
big
like to know
words.
how good is his English, because that would then translate to whether he can read or not. Same as to me. They grade 12s most. In fact, he finished grade 12, right?
Yes.
He testified that he finished grade 12.
He used to get advice from Senzo about how to handle his matric in 2006.
So he couldn't read the statement.
Well, I think we need to find out what Longo was wearing. What do you think that night?
Yeah, it would be very interesting to know what, because the story of Longo is a different story, because Longo disappears from the scene, reappears from the hospital, according to Mthogo. Very interesting story. How did he and when did he follow? What happened?
And at this stage, I could realize that his tone was changing. He was starting to sound like Dumelo now. His voice was starting to be strong. Mthokozisi.
That's why I'm saying now it's time for emotions. It's time you start now with emotions. And any man will seek to defend a woman.
So
That's his
Baloyi
weakness.
went through another statement made on the 27th of January. Thwala confirmed the signature on the statement as his, but he says he doesn't remember the statement or the handwriting. There were many in reference to the statement made the following. It was made at Peter Maritzburg ID Parade. Baloyi read, and I quote, "I then identified a thin male person with a facial appearance, especially the chin, nose, and his color, as the man that was present when Senzo Meyiwa was shot and killed as a thug." End quote. At the new prison identification parade was held, and I pointed out one prisoner who was wearing a number 4 tag. "Do you have any comment?" Baloyi asked. And then Thwala said, "Yes. This is the part I said there is a person who had similar features," and then they asked to move a closer to a point and point to that person.
Closer.
Yes, to move him closer and point that person. But the manner in which they wrote this, their wording was wrongish, as he had alluded before. And as they went out, he even called OI that was in charge, this is investigative officer, Brigadier Gininda, to tell him that he didn't say that this is the person that had killed Senzo, but had similar features. So Baloyi concluded leaving evidence in chief. Now, Ramusipele introduced himself to Thwala and began his cross-examination with the question, "How do you sleep at night, Mr. Thwala?"
A very confusing question, in fact, because there are many things to read into this.
I was not ready.
Yeah, like it's either is asking you how do you sleep at night because he thinks you are lying. He's asking you that question, how do you sleep at night, because you talked about how this thing impacted on you, affected you, or how do you sleep, just because he wants to know how actually you sleep. Togo, you answered the last one, I think. I closed my eyes.
Yes, he said, "I closed my eyes." Baloyi raised an objection asking what was the relevance of the question, unless if the basis could be laid for the question. And Ramusipele said that the basis was on that he said since the death of the deceased, he is haunted. He even said it on Tuesday on one of his evidence that it's difficult to this day. Then Thwala said, "Firstly, I close my eyes. And secondly, the question you are asking refers to what I said about the torture I experienced in Buthelez's
So he is
office."
worried about the torture, not the friend getting justice. The friends we keep.
Ramusipele said, "Is it fair to say the death of Senzo Meyiwa still haunts you to this day?" And Thwala said, "No, it doesn't haunt me." Ramusipele focused on the day Thwala and Meyiwa attended an event where Kelly Khumalo was performing at the Dorothy Nyembe Park in Dobsonville, Soweto. And Thwala said that he doesn't remember the time they went there, but it was during the day. So Thwala said he didn't consume alcohol at that event. And Ramusipele asked how long they were in attendance in that festival. Thwala said it was not a long time because after Kelly's performance, they left. He doesn't know. Maybe they left around 3 or 4 p.m. Ramusipele asked if it is true that upon leaving Dorothy Nyembe Park, they had to go pass by somewhere in Soweto because the deceased, Senzo Meyiwa, wanted to pass by one of his teammates' grandmother's house to pass his regards. Now, this was new information for me. I don't know whether I missed it or what, but I was like, And then Thwala answered true. Ramusipele from there started asking from there, the deceased drove to Katlehong, your residential area, for you to have a change of clothes. Is that correct? And Thwala said, just to clarify, they left Soweto, they went to Katlehong, but he knew what he was going to leave him there. So what he knew is that Senzo was going to drop him off there. The decision to change his clothes was because Senzo called him. And Ramusipele continued and said, in your evidence in chief, you stated that on the 26th of October, it was Roy Mahomotsa's birthday party or party. Is that correct? And then Thwala said, yes. Ramasipele said, on the 25th of October, you spent the night over at Senzo's residence in Malberton, correct? And Thwala said, yes, I slept there. Ramasipele asked, and that morning, did the deceased not tell you that he wanted you to accompany him to Roy Mahomotsa's party when you woke up on that morning on the 26th of October? Thwala said, yes, it's true. He also confirmed that Roy was also an Orlando Pirates player at the time. So Thwala also confirmed that after changing clothes, they went to pick up Tumelo Madlala, found him at an off-ramp in Views on the N3.
Hey, shit. I'm sorry, Mamik. Hey, that conversation. It's difficult for me to even translate it. It's a spiritual conversation. Let me say it is just a prediction. Hey, that this case will not go in the right direction, as you probably would expect it to get right people arrested, not wrong people and whatnot. That's basically what was said in that conversation. I'm sorry I didn't see the comment. Yeah, that's it.
Now, he also confirmed that they picked him up and then went to Makumalo's house. Now, Makumalo's house, they mean Kelly's mother's house. They went to the alcohol place, and Ramasipele asked if he knows the name of that place, and Thwala said no. Ramasipele asked if Thwala and Zandile were the ones who entered the place to buy the alcohol, and Thwala said yes. Now that I think about it, with regards to Tumelo's testimony, about who did he say went into the alcohol place and buy the alcohol, because I only remember Zandi being mentioned. Was Mthogo mentioned in Tumelo's testimony?
I don't remember it. I don't.
Then
I think it's the first time.
Then they proceeded to Makumalo's house, and Ramasipele asked him to describe Tumelo's injury. Thwala said that he didn't tell him what the cause of his injury was, and up until today he never told him how he got injured. But yes, he had a foot injury and had crutches. Thwala couldn't remember if he had a bandage on or a cast. So Ramasipele asked, was Tumelo using crutches inside the house? And Thwala said the only time he remembers they got up was when they went out to smoke, and he doesn't remember him using his crutches. So that time that they went, remember, he was explaining yesterday that they even went outside into the concrete wall outside the gate, remember? And to find out that he wasn't using his crutches is very interesting. So Ramasipele asked if he knew Tumelo before they picked him up on the 26th of October 2014. Thwala said yes, he was someone that he knew. Ramasipele asked to characterize the relationship. So Thwala described Tumelo Madlala as an acquaintance and that he's someone he got to know through his friend. Ramasipele asked what time they arrived at Makumalo's house, and Thwala said it was after 5. So Ramasipele asked Thwala to repeat the reason why he went there, and Thwala said he went there because Senzo wanted him to see his child with Kelly, and that made him happy. Ramasipele asked, which entrance did you use to enter the Makumalo homestead? Which door of the house? And Thwala said the kitchen door. It was the back door of the house. He said it was the first time he visited Kelly's home on the 26th. The people they found there was Kelly's mom and the 2 kids that belonged to Kelly. So the people that came out of the car, the BMW X6, were now 5. It was him, Tumelo, Kelly, the deceased, and Zandi Kumalo. So Ramasipele asked before the 26th, had he previously met Kelly and Zandi Thwala? And he said yes. Now, there were 8 people inside the house. At some stage, food was served, and also the soccer game they played and they watched, right? So Ramasipele asked if they were eating. Were they also drinking the alcohol they bought at the alcohol place? And Thwala said he doesn't drink when he eats. He finishes his food first and then he drinks afterwards. He only had 2 drinks from the time they arrived at Makhumalo's house and the time of the occurrence of the incident. So Ramasipele asked, how do you rate your sobriety on a scale of 1 to 10? And Thwala asked, I was okay. 2 hunters gold. I was okay. He was even smiling, according to the people that were in the court, because I saw Ramasipele laughing a bit at that. So Ramasipele asked how much hunters gold were bought and how much they bought, and Thwala said 6 pack, so 6 cans. So he asked whether others drinking and eating or drinking as they were eating, and Thwala said he can't say they were drinking.
Hello, I'm sorry, man.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Fine, you, sir.
We are good. We are good.
I can't hear you properly.
We are good. We are good. Do you wanna?
Yeah. I just want to make a brief comment here.
Yeah, do.
Yeah, I think this guy, you call him Mr. Afros. Myself, I'll call him a Shembe guy, maybe. Yeah. I think this guy maybe is unfair to those previous representative of accused number 1 to 4. He was unfair.
Okay.
Yeah, considering that, like what happened this afternoon when those arguments occurred.
Yes.
I don't think that could have happened to those 2 guys if that argument had occurred.
Sorry, what agreement?
Argument, like beating
okay.
Yeah, I think he could have told them that I'll sit down, this might cause something like that. But those other representatives, we gave them a chance, maybe almost an hour to state what their opinions.
You mean there's a different treatment from what we know of T4?
Correctly so.
There is. I felt it too. There's a bit of respect. Let us hope that it's going to continue because they haven't started cross-examining. Maybe this is just that's it. Maybe eventually we are going to see Mr. Afro we know.
It always starts well.
Yeah, even though there's an echo, they are very hearing you.
Okay, no, it's fine. We heard you. We heard you.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Right, continue, Emil. Please subscribe, like the video, and comment as we
Please
are
like
trying.
the video, guys. Please like the video. We'd really appreciate it if you can hit that thumbs up. Thwala said he can't say they were drinking or not because they sat for a while before eating. Maybe some of them opened their cans. So Thwala remembered that Kelly was drinking Smirnoff Guarana at the time. It was a very popular drink around that time. He also said that he thinks Zandi was also drinking the same drink that her sister was drinking. And he, on the other hand, was drinking Hunter's Gold. And Tumelo was drinking beer Heineken. And the deceased was also drinking Heineken. So Ramasipele took the witness through a series of pictures taken in Kelly Khumalo's mother's house depicting beer cans. The cans in the pictures were of Smirnoff, Guarana and Heineken. And on the stand, there was a greenish something that Ramasipele asked Thwala to point out. And Thwala said he saw a Heineken can and he quickly said that's where Tumelo was sitting. So Tumelo was sitting there. Ramasipele said, what would happen to the empty cans of the alcohol? And Thwala said he can't remember very well if they were taken to the bin or what. He said he can't remember. So Ramasipele said that the reason he's asking is because there's going to be evidence that's going to be led, and that is already led, that the cans were, whether they were empty and whether they were the only cans that were there after the shooting incident and after they left for the hospital. So Thwala wouldn't comment on allegations of the scene tampering, saying the neighbor alleged to have cleaned the scene will come and answer to that. So Ramasipele said when they left the scene for the hospital, was there conditions of the can, were they full or empty or otherwise? And Thwala said he can't say how the cans were because some of the cans were in the fridge. Some of the cans were in the fridge, guys. Some of the cans were in the fridge. So this is a underline highlight. So Ramasipela suggested that court adjourn for the day. So they had already run out of time, and court will presume tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been like that. It's been a hassle. I'm yeah, a lot of things is happening, Emily. Yeah, but I think it's a background thing. Guys, anyone who feels
wants to call, the lines are now open. Please call and give your opinion. We want to hear what you guys thought of today's proceedings. Please share with us your thoughts, your worries.
Yeah, there's also a WhatsApp number.
There's also a WhatsApp number. And for our international callers and family, you can use the code +27 where there's a 0 at the beginning. So you can say +27 and then continue dialing the rest of the number. Yeah.
Do call the number. Please subscribe and please like the video for those who haven't done it. We thank you for your journeying with us. Thank you very much. Yolisa, load shedding, I missed out. No, you didn't miss out.
You didn't. You can always catch up.
You can always catch up. It's a Sikas. This is Baloi. And then Tobega D. Point of carrying a firearm and sharp object if you're gonna be beaten by women with Oh yeah. That's
exactly what is the point of carrying a firearm if you're gonna be beaten by clutches?
Yeah, it's very yeah. I'm thinking. I'm trying to look at how this thing happened. I'm trying to imagine. There's imagine this thing. I'm imagining now what happened. Like after getting a proper beating, you still stand up and say, "Hey, okay, ngai phone." Yeah, that's it. Just one phone.
Neither you can keep your phones. Oh my God, this doesn't look good.
Yeah, let's hear this. That's the reality. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you guys?
We are good, and how are you?
I'm good, thanks. It's Lindani from Pumalanga here in Pakistan.
Okay, Lindani.
No, I want to be brief, Mr. Anonymous, and also Emily on your right hand side.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether I'm correct or not, but this guy who's taking a stand now, testifying, since he's saying that they are the so-called intruders who came in and robbed them, I don't believe that. I feel like Tumelo and this guy who's testifying now, which is Mthogo, and also that Mr. Vaselina, Mr. Baloi from the, I don't know, it's NPA or what?
Yes.
Yeah, it's NPA.
I think they've got a connection. I think before they come into this case, they've already met behind, saying that this is what we are going to do. I will pose this question to you. You will answer like this. And yeah, I think there's something behind.
Yeah, look, to make it easier, to make it easier for you, they do, obviously, because this is his people that he called. So there is that type of connection where they talk to each other.
And another thing is that if, like, what I noticed, I observed today is that if, like, Mr. Ramasipile pose a question to this person who is on the stand now, Mr. Baloi, you can see his physical expression that no, he doesn't like the way that advocate is posing question to this guy who's understanding now. So yeah, I just wanted to be brief as much as I can.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you for calling.
Bye.
Wow.
Bye.
A lot of people even on the chat were kind of pointing out what he's saying on the live chat of the trial itself. That,
you
like
prepare them.
the combos are communicating.
Yeah.
And it's odd because it's starting to show. It's not supposed to show. I don't know if I'm wrong. We're not supposed to actually pick that one up. I don't think we picked it up at any public court case before. We can use an example of the Oscar Pistorius case. We can use even as far back as Jub's case. I don't think I've pointed, even currently now with the Thabo Beste saga, I cannot pick it out at that Bloemfontein court yet. I'm gonna say yet because anything can happen.
It's another case there that you cannot bet on. Already things are happening. They are dropping things there. They are dropping things. So you cannot also talk about that. Make reference to that. Don't count the chickens before they hatch. Just wait for it to happen. Guys, from my side, if you guys are not going to be calling, anyone else not calling, I think from my side, Emily, I would not like to prolong.
Yeah, for those who are going to watch it later.
To be watching later. It's very nice to stay with you guys. Thank you, Auntie CK Moyo. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys
being
for
a good
coming.
Moderator. We thank you. Please subscribe. Please like the video. And please share it.
And some of you are moderators and you're not even aware. So check if you're a moderator.
Moyo has been active.
So Moyo,
thank you very much.
You can monitor the chat for us because I can't do it anymore.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much.
You
and
guys.
we appreciate you, Aunt Moyo. We thank you for
CK Moyo. Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.